And I hope everybody's well. Obviously, we're going through quite a difficult period around the world, in fact. And, you know, it would have been really nice to have been able to have actually delivered this presentation in person, face to face. But obviously, things the way they are at the moment, obviously, we have to learn to adapt and use what tools we've got. Okay, so I will make a start. Welcome to the Republic of Work Lunch and Learn series. They're held every Tuesday, 1 p.m. in webinar format. There are a variety of topics all businesses can learn from. You can find the upcoming events on What's On section of the Row website, which is republicofwork, all one word.com. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I can see everybody's muted. Basically, what I will do is I will go through a presentation. It should take about 35, 40 minutes. It just depends whether I digress a bit, as I tend to digress a little bit during these. And so I'll share the screen now. Let's hope that works okay. Okay. Just bear with me a minute. There's settings. Okay, so I'm going to have to come out and come back in because my settings weren't there. Just give me a minute. Come back. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about how to build highly effective, innovative teams. And so basically this is part 3 of a 4-part series that I've agreed to do for the Republic of Work. And just a little bit about my background. Basically, I am a problem solver. I have sorry about that, this problem. Anyway, so I've had 40 years of experience helping solve business problems, a number of studies for various companies over the years. And this presentation is based on some work I did with General Motors. So I'm going to start by telling you a little story. This is something that I experienced during my MBA. We had a guest lecture come across. And this is a story that he told us about how a flock of migrating geese works. And it was all about team building. And what we see is when the flock flies, they increase their efficiency by 71% compared to just one bird flying alone. I'm having a few problems here, guys, with the screen. There's things popping up. I'm just going to unshare a sec for a minute. Okay, just bear with me a sec. Yeah, okay. What's going on here? So, apologies for this, guys. I've just had this Mac back and I'm a little bit, it's a little bit different for me. Okay. Let's go back to share screen. Okay, go back to the presentation. Okay, so back to where I was in the presentation. So we're talking about team efficiency. What I want to change is this here. Okay, so what we're looking at here is by having a common goal and working as a team, we'll get to the destination quicker. Power of unity will always reduce the effort required by all. It's easier and more pleasing if you're working as a team towards a goal, and everyone will feel engaged and accept help. In terms of leadership, the migrating geese, they often rotate the leader in the V formation, and he or she will assume a role at the back. One of the other birds will assume a role as the leader. I'm still having a problem here, guys. Okay. This is a little bit of a disaster. Sorry about this. Okay. Okay, what I'm having a problem with, I can't actually see my text, guys, because I can't seem to see how to get rid of the view of everybody on the right-hand side. If you can hear that, Angelica. Anyway, I'll press on with I can. At times, there'll be a need for change of leadership. To succeed, we must learn to share from time to time. To achieve objective means delegating the hardest problems and not delegating the hardest problems, sorry. Effective teams pool resources, facilities, faculties, talents, and share stuff. Something that probably some people you don't know is that when geese fly, they make this noise, this cracking noise, but this is actually designed to encourage the leader, and it also helps set the pace and the speed of the flight. It helps them to maintain the speed. And so in terms of motivation, when there is courage and encouragement, progress is greater. And timely word of encouragement always helps and motivates and strengthens us. It produces the best of benefits as well. So this particular presentation, I've taken bits from it, and the thing that that was interesting, that intrigued me, was we talked for a 2-hour lecture on migrating geese and how it relates to teamwork. So I thought it was a bit of a good way to start today, to break it into what is quite a difficult subject. There's an awful lot of text written on it, and so I thought this was a nice way to sort of break in. So in terms of teamwork, something that also happens, and it quite often happens in teamwork, is that when a member of the flock gets injured or sick, it leaves the formation. Others from the flock will join it and stay with it until such time that it's can either rejoin the flock or it actually dies. And the caption on the left here was a caption from the team challenge processes that I ran at General Motors. And these two guys here, the guy in the green actually twisted his ankle. And that's Neil. And Nick was offered him to use of his walking stick, his actual stick. So these are the sorts of things that there was a lot of things happened like this during these challenges. And it relates nicely to this particular scenario here, where, when somebody falls ill and everybody pulls together. So in terms of, again, teamwork, staying and standing beside one no matter what is what really makes the difference, especially in times when it's difficult and challenging, and particularly at the moment we're going through an extremely difficult period. There's a lot of businesses have tried to reopen and are struggling, and within most businesses there are difficult times, and it's those difficult times when you need to be able to all pull together to see yourself through. It is these social processes that we go through that generate the true spirit. It's these social processes, and social processes you'll hear a lot during this short presentation, because it's what generates true spirit of teamwork. And I'll go into it a little bit more detail as I delve down. And regardless of our differences, there are processes that will help us through. So what I'm going to do now is walk you through a case study. I covered this, the same case study as I covered in the previous presentation. And this is about a project that I was a project lead on at General Motors. And I was basically given a project team to run, and there was two key components here. One was to install a world-class manufacturing facility, which was not really a big deal for me, to be honest, because that's what I do. That's what I do as a profession. And to build a multidisciplinary team with common practices across all shifts, that was a big deal for me. And at the time, I was doing a master's degree in business administration, and so this is based on the GM Renault van project. This was a joint van venture where they pulled resources together, and this was basically the objectives. This was almost the slide that we was given to work with. Now, during the MBA studies, there was a few pieces of the jigsaw puzzle that here, and I've basically shared here a few comments from various sources. And the first one here is from George Cole, which is the role of a leader is to satisfy the needs of the task, team, and individuals. And research continues to show that the emphasis is the importance of the team role, focusing on 20% of those needs that affect the team performance. And to build highly effective teams, you've got to look at there are these three components: the work, social, and private element. And what's the one thing that really caught my eye was the fact that, although considered important, social processes weren't accessed. And this is what I sort of picked up. And at the time I was writing my thesis was going to be on how to build world-class teams, and I just thought this was one of those unique angles that hadn't been approached. So this is what led me to look at the social processes that go on during building teams. So the approach was basically this. I was going to design a team challenge process that enhancing the social processes. So the team challenge for each shifts was to be an off-site simulation, complete a challenge defined by them, raise money for a worthy cause, achieve objectives with a minimum of expense, develop social skills, increase awareness of human behaviour. And the important thing was to also look at how we could bring back learning into the organisation. And of course, we're trying to build an effective team, a team that works together, and identify potential future leaders. So here, what I was looking to create was an environment to help people from different disciplines, different functions, in a very sort of hostile, because this was in the press shops, it's quite a hostile environment to work in. It's not very pleasant. And create something that allowed them to work together as a team outside of the actual workplace itself to help them bond. So this is the team challenge protocol. What it shows here is it loosely follows this ADDIE model. Some of you may have seen this, some of you may not. It's not really important. It's just really to point out that there is structure behind it. So it basically consisted of 5 stages. Those 5 stages were getting to know the team phase, a team plan, team preparation, the challenge itself, and then the lessons learned. And in terms of it being a business simulation, we had a common goal, which was 3 high-level goals: was design and complete a team challenge, raise as much money as possible for a worthy cause, and complete the challenge within an agreed budget. That's typically what I would be faced with the project. I was given this type of 3 high-level goals. So the team challenge criteria looked like this. Each team sets their own challenge, so they set the challenge themselves in this instance, but must be a challenge for the whole team. This is an important requirement. Provide a rare opportunity to achieve something for the benefit of others. include every member of the team in some way. So not every member of the team had to do the challenge. We had one particular guy on one of the challenges had back problems and all sorts of things, and it was basically the team had to find a role for everybody, an important role for everybody in the team. It had to stretch and pull the team to its limits, push the team to its limits, and take the team out of their comfort zone. So it wouldn't be something, this was a challenge. So typically the challenge could be anything outside of the workplace. So it could be cycle or walk to swim around the coastline of Ireland, for instance. It could be as severe, as extreme as that, or it could be, you know, organising some sort of major charity event. The choice was theirs, and that's what we mean about taking them out of the comfort zone. Employ all the skills available within the team and provide a sense of achievement for everybody. And from this, the team challenge objectives, what we was hoping to achieve was to create a safe environment to allow teams to practice working together outside the workplace. So the 5 key points that we were hoping to achieve was a better understanding of the importance of decisions, improve support for and participation in implementing plans, increase contributions to problem solving and decision making processes. Ownership of processes and change management. This was a big thing in General Motors. They were really trying to push employee involvement, and so that was big. Promote honesty and integrity in the team out of their comfort zone. So the key nature of the challenge was that they set themselves the challenge themselves. It enabled them to experience different aspects of the business. You know, these were people that came in, they had specific functions, and here they were given a business simulation for them to run. Okay, so this is how it ran. This is what happened in stage 1, is the getting to know session. So basically there were 4 parts to this. There was the introductions. During the introductions, this was where we asked people to introduce themselves. They did a sort of a 1 or a 2 or 3 minute intro, things that we asked them specific things, what they were good at outside the workplace, what they like doing, the usual sorts of questions, but it was about them, you know, what do they do when they're not at work? And it was quite revealing because we had, there was a guy on one particular challenge. He used to play for cricket for Trinidad. He used to actually be captain for Trinidad and Tobago, which nobody knew. And there was a guy in the same team who'd worked with him for 25 years and had no idea he even played cricket. And I think this was, you know, this was a little bit of an eye-opener, because you do tend to come across scenarios like this all the time, you know, where people work together have no idea what they do outside the workplace. So that was part 1. Part 2 was some team exercises. We picked some specific sort of team exercises to see how people bonded and gelled together, and then we obviously pushed that a bit further. And then we provided feedback on that. And then we did the team evaluation, which was basically the bell bins and 1 or 2 other little things to see how the group dynamics were. And then the last thing is we sat down and they designed their challenge. So stage 2 was the team plan. The idea here was they were going to go through approval process, so they would have to produce, and they did produce, presentations to present their team challenge idea, justify their option, why they chose that, how they're going to do it, what the targets of the challenge, obviously the budget performance, what they need. So we gave them effectively these 4 points where they had to present their idea, propose the budget planning they needed for it, their plan, and then the final stage of this process was everybody agreed that to go ahead with the challenge, and it could go ahead. So stage 3 was the actual preparation itself, and the thing with these challenges, they all spanned over about anything between 3 to 6 months, because this was running in parallel to the actual project going on, the project I was managing at the time. So they were responsible for every aspect of the planning stage. So they organising the support they needed, funding, making decisions on the challenge itself, arrange team meetings and arrange sessions, extra sessions with the mentors. And one of the interesting things, one thing that came out of this is how resourceful people become when they believe in something. And we had one guy who went out, because we had a lot of contractors, big contractors working on this project. So we went out and asked them to donate bikes for their cycle challenge, and I'll come on to that a bit later, and we'll go into a bit more detail on what their challenge was. But basically they were doing a cycle ride from Luton to Paris, but he went out and got all the bikes donated by companies that were working on the project. So that it's amazing that the resource that suddenly these people, how resourceful people can be. Stage 4 was the challenge itself. There was basically 4 parts to that, and that was a briefing at the beginning. That was just make sure everything was on track. Then there was the challenge itself, which was observed. There were observers. I was one of the observers. We had an industrial psychologist also, and we actually had to do the challenge as well. So we were there, but we were in the background. Then obviously celebrate that sense of achievement. On one of them, that was a hefty session in the bar. And then reflect on the learning afterwards. And then the final stage is the lessons learned, which was a key part of it, because we wanted to find out, what we'd all learned and what we could bring back. So we wanted to understand what were the best individual and team qualities. So we did basically in a SWOT format, with in this format here. So we looked at opportunities. Are there opportunities that can be brought back into the workplace? What threats? Is there any threats that's likely to threaten the team and the processes going forward? And what were the weaknesses? What were the weaknesses were identified, and how could we actually exploit those and turn them into positives? So it was these were very, very good sessions, and I wish I had more time to show you the sort of stuff that people came up with. It was quite incredible. So here's what happened. First team decided to do the 3 Peaks Yorkshire walk, Peaks Walk, which is 24 miles, 38 kilometres. And they decided to do it over actually 1.5 days. It's a 24-hour thing. Normally you would do it in one go. But they did the first peak on the first night, and then spread it across and ran into the second day. And it was an incredible walk, because my family come from Yorkshire, so I know these dales very well. So I know what the weather can turn in an instant. And we started off in glorious sunshine. It was like everybody was like it was on a holiday camp, and it turned in an instant. And there was a lot of incidents, and there was a lot of things that were learned from that. But the team did it. They made it, and it was a really good walk. And the camaraderie was just unbelievable. Unbelievable. The second team were a little bit more adventurous. They actually did a cycle ride from Luton to Paris, and Hattie is the guy sat in the right photograph in the middle with the peak cap. He sat right in the middle, looking forward. He came up with the idea of inviting Renault to participate in their challenge, because we knew that they had a Tour de France team. And Renault accepted, and they sent their top cyclists from their Tour de France team to join the team and to give some coaching. And then once we was in France, we were joined by another 7 mountain bike racers, which were part of another Renault racing team. And it was just amazing. It was an absolutely amazing journey. And by the end of when we actually arrived in IDVU in Guyancourt, Paris, they got all the factory people out. So there was about 400 or 500 people waiting to welcome us back when we finished the project. It was a really, really interesting and really great experience. So in terms of outcomes, in terms of productivity, we did achieve the first GM milestone, which this project was. The project was completed on time and in the budget. We had plenty of time for tryout, which was always a problem on previous projects, having enough sort of time to test things before we actually go into full production. CDM statistics were way below the targets. We improved our local planning processes. We also designed past problems out, which is always a problem for people like me that don't understand necessarily the production processes. I was able to design out previous problems from previous installations. There's a great awareness of production, and we did find balance. And then there is really this, this is the real power of teamwork. Get it right, you get results. And a case study, outcomes and productivity. Well, this is where we went way beyond expectations. The original target was to do 6 strokes a minute. But as this chart shows, we was a bit late starting production. That was problems upstream from us that we couldn't do anything about. But once we got started, we soon reached our target of 6 strokes. And we actually went on to break the world record for this particular press line. And there was no demarcation. We had a highly effective team. We improved our skills level. We reduced the time to achieve our objectives. We achieved the 8-second cycle time, and we were the first ever to achieve a 3-minute dive part changeover. It's just an amazing outcome from these teams. We had a few unforeseen outcomes as well. What was generally agreed was that team challenge process did help reduce the time it took to achieve targets, and did result in the increase in performance. What we discovered was, one of the things that I insisted on was everybody, including production workers, went on a 5-day robot programming course for 6-axis robots. There was a lot of reluctance, a lot of resistance, but I dug my heels in and insisted that it was done. Out of that, we identified that 2 of the production people were natural robot programmers. They understood, they had complete spatial awareness. And that was a big thing. And generally, the other thing that was a very big win for us was the fact that we had people using, were using SWOT analysis and FMEAs to help make decisions on the shop floor. So there was a lot of positive stuff we managed to teach people on this. So there was quite a few unexpected twists and turns in this. So why does it work? Well, I'm a big fan of 7S framework from the McKinsey studies, and I did a lot of work on this when I did my master's. And I believe that when you look at the soft and hard S's from this model, all linked to the shared values, I actually believe that the dotted lines is the social processes that connects all these together. And why it will work and continue to work, this approach, is it's a continuous process that's tackling real problems. Every problem is different in business and requires a different approach. So whichever problem you are looking at, you do need a different approach. And one thing you've got teams of people, you have different approaches, different ideas, you can tap into that. And the process engages the secret intelligence, what I would like to refer to as the secret intelligence that exists in every organisation. And I think that's going to become a lot more important going forward. Certainly in these COVID times, we are looking anywhere for help to get us through, get us through this difficult time. We asked the team what they to come up with. We did as on the feedback. We asked them to sort of write down. We asked them to do a brainstorm of just keywords, words that from their experience. And when you look at this cloud, it's quite amazing what they came up with. These 36 individuals. These are the things they were. What happened? There was three teams. All did a challenge, and then we got them all together to do this feedback so collectively. And so this is pretty powerful stuff. There's a lot of intelligence down there at all levels in the organisation. And it's all about people. When you want to achieve anything or be successful, it always comes down to people. And I've lived in Ireland now long enough to be bold enough to think that maybe I've come up with what might be the 9th S from the McKinsey's, to take the McKinsey's model a bit further. Everyone possesses secret intelligence. We are good at lots of things. We're all experts at something. The story with Henry being a cricketer, we had another guy who was an experienced ski instructor. There was other cases where people had skills outside the workplace that we could use in the workplace. And we all possess secret intelligence. We all possess it. This secret intelligence is a source for future innovations in your business going forward. This is where the ideas come from. It's the small people that make things happen. It really is. I really believe that. It's the small people that make things happen. So we need people. We need teams. So it makes people the most important asset in any organisation. And it just makes me cringe when things get difficult. The first thing companies do, big companies, they start to shed people. They start to just burn their intelligence away. This is how I see it anyway. So the benefits. These 12 tablets. In the previous presentation, I talked about the one-page Cure, Reflect and Revolve. These 12 tablets here, or 12 foundation stones, if you like, you could call them foundation stones, are the key components that apply to every business. Most businesses tend to operate around the activities surrounding the middle section, the middle two channels, from knowledge through to strategy, metrics to plan. But in terms of this, the benefits that I see when you look at the vision is you get customers that value you, your products and services, because there is a lot of evidence that supports that companies that engage in experience good performance, those companies who engage in activities supporting charities, local charities. So there was clearly here, we in terms of resource, we had a highly effective, motivated, innovative teams, and people in terms of mission, people understood better the purpose of the business. Knowledge, we accessed secret intelligence in your business. In terms of options, you'll be able to, unlike those innovative mindsets, the two, knowledge and options, go hand in hand. And strategy, engagement, what we saw was engagement of the team to achieving a common goal. It was just a case of really creating that right environment for that to happen. Metrics is a big one, and what we successfully did, and what you would successfully do if you followed the same processes, you would have empowered teams in data-driven decision making, which is going to become a lot more important as we go forward. As businesses go forward, it's very important. Metrics is something that will become important. It's There's not enough time spent with metrics, in my opinion, but I would say that because I'm an engineer, but I do think metrics are important. In terms of plan, we've got greater collaboration and proactive actions to achieve targets, validate, bringing learning back in. The deviation, individuals will learn about their strengths and weaknesses in terms of lessons. It accelerates the rate of improvement and future performance. Enhances skills and identifies potential leaders in terms of evolution, because all businesses evolve. I mean, at the moment, there's a lot of evolution going on because of COVID-19. There's a lot of people trying new things that they wouldn't have dreamt of trying. So bringing it back to my original model, businesses consist of people, places and problems. And it's quite simple. You have to tap into the social processes that exist within your teams, within your organisation. And the 4 things to remember is you give them the destination and let them find their own way. Leaders have to adapt to any situation, given situation. They have to learn to adapt to different situations. You have to create the right environment in order for people to thrive. That's very important. And the team challenge process, the nice thing about that is we did create an environment that allowed people to work together as a team. And then when the time came and the pressure was on, they were ready. They were ready to go. And you have to access and engage that secret intelligence to unlock the true innovation that exists within people. And in business, your greatest asset is you and your people. It really is. Okay, to sum it all up, the team challenge process I've talked about today was the original format. What we've put together at Team Challenge Process now is we've basically got 3 models that we use for different situations. The pressure test is used to find solutions to problems. So this would be typically a half day or a day. We would put people in a room and they'd have to come up with an answer, a solution to a problem. Work related is slightly more longer term, but this would be used for tackling problems where you would assemble a team within your organisation and you would give them the task, empower them to come up with solutions to a particular problem. So this is particularly useful for HR issues. And the thing to remember, a problem becomes less daunting when it's viewed as a challenge and tackled by a team. There's, a lot of business owners, even successful entrepreneurs that have grown big businesses, they still find it difficult not to keep the finger in the pie, not to interfere. So this slide here just shows some examples. I'm not conscious of time, and but basically here, there are a number of different reasons why you build a team. It might be for launching a new product. It might be a new project. In my case, it was building the project team and the production team to improve performance. In terms of managing change, there could be you could be introducing something like ISO 9000. It could be GDPR. I mean, Brexit's still there, hanging around. The grey cloud of Brexit's still there. That's gonna come back and bite us again once we get our head away from the COVID crisis. And then you've got just pure problem solving, the day-to-day problems that you have within the company. So I've pretty much come to the sort of end now. Something that we're doing going forward from September, and it's free for all. We've set up what we call the Intelligence Matrix, which is a Facebook group. The topics that we're looking at is that basically we're going to run lots of free sessions to show you how to use some of the tools that we've developed, some of the ideas, how to set these sort of things up. So we're going to have a HR doctor, which Brendan is going to run that. We are looking at setting up a 3-year support program for young entrepreneurs. Something I'm personally very keen on, because I was lucky enough to come one of the last to come through the 5-year indentured apprenticeship, so I know how important young people are for the future. Team challenge process and the one page secure problem-solving techniques. We're going to show people how to do this sort of stuff. And then we've got CPAS is the climate change as a service roadmap. Climate change is a biggie. It's sitting there in the background, but it's not an easy one to tackle, because the trouble is, at the moment there's still a lot of debate going on as to whether this actually climate change is a problem or not. But clearly the legislation is going to change, and they're already here in Ireland. They've already hinted at they're going to increase tariffs on fuel by 4-fold, and that's unfortunately the governments. All they seem to do is they come up with these great creative ideas of increasing tax, and it will reduce carbon emissions, and it doesn't work. It's just a negative approach. So we've developed using again the tools that we've got here. We built a roadmap for 2030, because it's not an easy change. It's a major transformation of organisations to get back to building a sustainable growth, building a sustainable future. So there's the two links down here shown. One is the Facebook page. Well, the best place to go at the moment, if you're interested in that, is to go there, and with some posts on there. But you know, we're trying to build a social learning community going forward, and that's pretty much it. Apologies for the thing at the beginning, but it was a bit of a rush because I had a Mac that was out and it's just got back for repair, so I wanted to try it out. I've been doing this on the iPad, which has been fine, but like all products, they don't put the controls in the same place across all devices, which would be nice. And thank you for joining me, and if you've got any questions, you can unmute yourself now while I try and work out how to stop sharing. Okay, let's come back. Right. Okay, thank you very much. And has anybody got any questions, anything that in the presentation that you didn't understand, or anything? Okay. But if there's no questions, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you got something from that. And if you are interested in anything else, the next presentation's on lessons learned, able to capitalise on lessons learned, and something we've done a lot of work with, particularly in Ford Motor Company. Actually, it's been very big, the lessons learned matrix and stuff there. So part 4 will be about how to actually use lessons learned to generate new innovation and stuff. Okay, thank you very much.